If one happens to be a Kshatriya, he has the power to punish any human, to punish any man. Therefore, a Kshatriya should at once cut out the tongue of the vilifier and kill him. But as far as the Vaishya and Sudras are concerned, they should immediately give up their bodies. Sati decided to give up her body because she thought herself to be among the Sudras and Vaishyas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, Striyo Vaishyas tata Sudras. Women, laborers, and the mercantile class are on the same level. Thus, since it is recommended that Vaishyas and Sudras should immediately give up their bodies upon hearing blasphemy of an exalted person like Lord Shiva, she decided to give up her life. So this is the intricate situation, delicate situation. Sati, the pet daughter of her father. Sati, of course, the youngest of Daksha's daughters. Was it 16 daughters?
16 or 13, I forget now, Guru Maharaj.
Or 14. Anyway, like that. Anyway, Sati is the youngest, so she's the pet. The youngest child is the pet of the family. But there's this very complex intrigue here between the dealings of Daksha and Lord Shiva. Both are exalted personalities. However, Sati is very affected coming to the big sacrifice. She had been neglected by her father. Neglected by her father, and wasn't so much that she was neglected, but what really offended Sati was the fact that when they made the sacrifice, they did not make any offering to Lord Shiva. So that was what really, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back or something. That was all. She could not take any more. So this conflict between Daksha and Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva was tolerating the whole thing. He was just ready to stay away, just leave it. Don't worry about it, don't get involved. But Sati could not drop it. Sati wanted to go to the yajna. She wanted to take part in the social event. And she wanted to be there with her father. And, well, not so much with her father, but she wanted to be with her mother. And all of her sisters. And her aunts also. Her mother was one of the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So in this section of the 4th canto, we're hearing about the different daughters from Swayambhuva Manu. We heard about Devahuti in the 3rd canto, and there were 2 other daughters of Swayambhuva Manu. There was Akuti and Prachuti and Devahuti. And so all of their different descendants and family members. Daksha was married to one of the daughters of Devahuti and Kadama. So Sati wants to meet all the relatives, all the other ladies. She wants to be with, and be in their company. But when she goes there, well, the ladies were nice to her. The ladies were okay. Everyone received her and welcomed her into the assembly. But Daksha, her father, just ignored her. He didn't give any attention to her. And then with the yajna, he omitted to offer anything to Lord Shiva. So this is a great offense, and Sati is very disturbed. And she's ready to, well, what to do? She's thinking about it. We're hearing what you're supposed to do when there's some blasphemy. Now, how does this apply in the modern situation? Of course, in the modern situation, we're not expected to go to such extreme lengths. Particularly, we do not encourage people that we should use any kind of violence. Now, there will be people who will speak blasphemy and who will speak harshly and condemn our different beliefs. And what we should do, of course, is avoid these people and just stay away from them. We know of the 3 levels of devotees. There's the Kanishta, there's the Madhyama, and there's the Uttama. So we're expected to come to the Madhyama level. Madhyama level means the intermediate level, and the intermediate level, the devotee discriminates between different people. Sometimes people say, oh, we should not discriminate. Srila Prabhupada one time was in Indore, and there was a Gita Bhavan there. And Prabhupada had been invited to give some lectures there. So Prabhupada was speaking and he was criticizing people. He was talking about people being rascals, particularly people who give their own commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. They give their own presentations, their own philosophy. They don't present the real message of the Bhagavad Gita as Lord Krishna presented it, but they present their own philosophy. So Prabhupada was speaking about these people, how these people are rascals and so on. So one man was there listening and he got upset. It's common. You can't please everyone. So one man got upset and he was saying that, Swamiji, you should see everyone equally. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Krishna says, Samo Pandita Darshana, that a Pandit sees everyone equally. But Prabhupada said to the man, well, I am not on that level. So afterwards, the devotees were speaking to the man and explaining to him how Srila Prabhupada was preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. So the man appreciated, he thought, oh, that is very nice. He understood that is real equality, that you present the message of the Bhagavad Gita to everyone. So the man actually understood that Prabhupada was equal to people. At the same time, he makes distinctions. We have to make distinction who we hear from and who we don't hear from. We have to be able to discriminate. The Madhyama Adhikari will offer worship to the Supreme Lord. He will associate with peers. He will associate with people who are on his level and who share his kind of mode of devotion. And he will give mercy to the innocent people. But at the same time, he will avoid those people who are atheistic or blasphemers. So here you have the case, Daksha is blasphemous. On one hand, you've got people like Ajamila. Now, Ajamila was not offensive, but he was sinful. So you get people who are attached to sense gratification. They're sinful. And on the other hand, you've got people like Daksha. Now, Daksha is a Prajapati. So he's a big person in the universe. But at the same time, he is offensive. So being offensive is more serious than being sinful. Just like Ajamila was sinful, but he got relief from his sins. By chanting, he was saved. You all know the story about Ajamila and about how he chanted his son's name, and that was the name of Narayan. And because he's chanting the holy name, he destroyed his sinful reactions. Now, somebody who's blasphemous, they're in a different situation. We definitely want to avoid people who are blasphemous and offensive. Because if we get too close to them, they will become more critical and they will become more offensive. And that's not good for them, and it's not good for us to hear them. And so we have to be careful about association and how we mix with different people. We have to recognize that different people are on different levels. Now, somebody's blasphemous and offensive, they can also eventually be relieved. Just like Daksha, eventually, he was corrected. His head got cut off, got the head of a goat. And then, of course, he was in with the head of a goat. He felt very ashamed. He felt very fallen, very low. And he ended up giving up his own life. And he took birth again. So how to deal with people who are envious and blasphemous in this modern age is keep a distance, keep away from them. And we have to be careful about trying to preach in their presence. If somebody's particularly offensive and blasphemous, and we're trying to preach, it will be very difficult. It will certainly, the atmosphere will not be pleasant. So we prefer not to present the message of the scriptures in the presence of people who are blasphemous or offensive. In the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see the Lord Krishna explains how this knowledge should not be given to people who are envious and who are like that, who are offensive. So we do want to be, while we do have public programs and we invite people, the public can come, but our public programs are not an open forum for everyone. Generally, when we will have programs in our temple, one person will speak, and the other people are expected to give their attention and to listen. Now, if somebody doesn't like what we say, then they can leave. Right? We don't say, oh, you have to stay. You know, somebody doesn't agree with what we say, then they can simply go away. And we find that you get people who come, they sit for a little while and they listen and they don't like it, so they get up and go. But if somebody stays and then gets up and starts challenging and shouting and being offensive, then that is not good. And it certainly creates an unpleasant atmosphere. So in such a situation, we have to very delicately deal with that person and request him to leave. That this is you have to explain that this is a temple, and this is our center. This is a place where people who have faith in what we're practicing are coming. And if you're not in favor of it, then it's better. You can just simply leave. But we don't allow people to come and get up and present their own philosophy. Now, that sometimes happens. Maybe you're giving a program and somebody will come. One time, I remember in the UK. So Prabhupada gave a lecture and he was talking about the chanting of the holy name, and some Christian man got up after Prabhupada's lecture. Christian man got up and said something. A Christian man got up and said something about we should chant the name of Jesus Christ, that these names you're chanting, this is not the name of God, and you should chant the name. You're all worshiping idols and you're all heathens, and Jesus Christ came to save you, and you should chant his name and he will help you. So Prabhupada asked one of the senior devotees to respond. Prabhupada himself didn't respond. So the senior devotee responded and it said, we're chanting the name of God, and we're going to chant the name of God. You can join us or not. It's up to you. If you don't want to join us, then you're welcome to go. And we immediately began the kirtan. Another time was in Japan, and Prabhupada had been invited to give a lecture, but at the same time, there was another man who was a Mayavadi sannyasi. So the Mayavadi sannyasi spoke. First Prabhupada spoke, and then the Mayavadi sannyasi spoke. And at a certain point in the middle, the Mayavadi sannyasi was speaking, and he was becoming more and more enthusiastic and vocal in his presentation. And then Prabhupada turned to the devotees and said, start the kirtan. The man was still talking. But Prabhupada said, we have to stop him. He said, the way to stop him, you do kirtan. So this is very effective means in dealing with people who are, blasphemous and so on. We simply do kirtan. And we don't argue with them. You don't want to get into any big arguments or fighting or so on like that. We just simply do kirtan. And in this way, the atmosphere will become peaceful. The kirtan, the chanting of the holy name. As soon as the kirtan stops, then people will start talking again, and there'll be arguments and so on, so many things. So Lord Chaitanya's program was kirtan. Lord Chaitanya would talk philosophy only with his intimate associates. He had intimate associates like Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, and they were with him, and he would discuss with them topics of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya did not discuss philosophy with just anyone and everyone, a few people, but he had his intimate associates who he liked to discuss with. And Srila Prabhupada generally would give lectures. He would present the basic teachings of Krishna consciousness. But he didn't encourage us to go around arguing with people. Rather, if people want to hear, if people want to hear, then we can explain the philosophy. And somebody doesn't like to hear, and they just want to argue, that's not what we want. That's not our business. That's a symptom of the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, people are very eager to argue with each other, and no one will admit they're wrong. Everyone thinks I'm right, my philosophy, my ideas are correct. You listen to me. They don't want to hear. They don't want to learn. They just want to speak. And so that doesn't make a very nice situation. We have to be careful how to deal with it. So the good thing is kirtan. Have more kirtan. And we speak a little philosophy, and we can discuss. And people have some doubts, okay, we can. But if people want to argue, no, there's nothing to gain from that. All right, is that clear to everyone? Any questions?
No
Yes?
question. No questions. It's
No
Hare
question.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yesterday
Yes.
we were reading, and so one question was brought up that Sati, when Lord Shiva was trying to reason with her, then because we say that, oh, if somebody is liberated, then they're not under the mode, so they're able to control themselves. So Sati, then why was she not able to accept Lord Shiva's advice, and she still insisted that she wanted to go for the sister?
Well, it shows that, she's described, the womanly nature, the weaker sex. They have that tendency, even in the higher planets, even in the position of devas like Sati, that they're attached to the family members. They have affection for the family. And she couldn't give up her feelings, her desire to be with all the family. She wasn't satisfied to just simply stay at home and be with her husband. She wanted to go and be with the as I explained, to be with her sisters and her aunts and all of the family, the womanly nature. So women are described as the weaker sex, and women need to be protected. The Lord Shiva was trying to give her protection, but she didn't take it. So it's like that. Even so, although she's such a great, powerful personality, that she does have the womanly nature.
Thank you,
Hare
Guru Maharaj.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I was, so I was wondering that does that apply to Radha Rani and Lakshmi and all those women also? I mean, do they also go in that mode of, material nature at times?
Well, Srimati Radharani is on a different level from Sati. Remember, Sati is in the material world. Srimati Radharani is totally in the spiritual position. It's not like sati, because Srimati Radharani is the pleasure potency of the Lord. So she does display, at the same time, she does display the feminine nature. And we know sometimes in the dealings between Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna, that Srimati Radharani will hear that Lord Krishna has gone to Chandra Valley. And so she'll be affected. And she'll say, all right, then I won't see Krishna again. And so there's so many different ways Srimati Radharani does reveal her feminine nature, her affection, her deep attraction for Lord Krishna, the love which she has for Lord Krishna. And she feels very much the separation from Lord Krishna. So that feminine nature is there also in the spiritual world. Right? Actually, we're all feminine compared to Krishna. He is the male and we're all the Prakriti. He is the Purusha and we're all Prakriti. So we all have that affection, that kind of feeling that we want to cultivate anyway, that mood. That Krishna is the male and we're meant to be enjoyed. Krishna is the enjoyer and we're the Prakriti, we're meant to be enjoyed. So that feeling is there. We have to recognize our position in relation to Krishna. So we're hearing about Sati and her affection. Yeah. This is the way of the spirit, even in the higher planets, in the planets of the demigods. There are these kind of dealings, these situations arise. And women do have that weaker nature. But at the same time, you can see that Sati is very, very resolved how she's going to deal with it. She's going to give up her life. And she's not going to take anyone's life. She would just give up her own life. Because she doesn't want to be connected with that father, Daksha. And Daksha, he doesn't, he's the hard-hearted. Prabhupada notes in one purport, he talks that women are generally soft-hearted, but men tend to be sometimes hard-hearted. So Daksha, we see that hard-heartedness. And at the same time, we see from Sati, the soft-heartedness, that although her father was so offensive, that she wants to be with the family. The daughter naturally has affection for her father and wants to be with the family members, the sisters, the aunts and everyone. They take pleasure in being with that family, being with the family. Somehow women have that nature that they take pleasure in these things. So you could say it's a soft-heartedness, but at the same time, it's an expression of the feminine nature. Of course, we're not the body. We're not the body, but at the same time, when you're in the body, then that's a different thing. We're all spirit souls. We're all feminine in relation to Krishna, But we do have the body, and some influence of the body is going to be there. Thinking male, female. You know, we dress differently. The woman doesn't dress like a man. Ladies have their own attire and their own ways of decorating themselves, which is different from men. And so the body, some influence of the body is there. Lord Shiva, however, you know, he's totally detached from everything. He goes naked everywhere, and matted hair, and the ashes on his body from the crematorium. You know, it's very special. And Sati's, she's totally attached to Lord Shiva. She doesn't think my husband's a nut. She doesn't think my husband's crazy. She actually understands. She has such a exalted personality for her husband. Who Lord Shiva is not man, and he's not God. He's somewhere between the two. But he's almost God. Sometimes Prabhupada would say he's God in the material world. Lord Krishna is God in the spiritual world. All right.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, the planet of Sadashiv, that is in the spiritual world or material world, or in between them?
That's in the spiritual world. Sadashiva's planet's in the spiritual world.
So completely like where the Vaikuntha planets are, or before the...
Yeah. So like a Vaikuntha planet.
So it's not that it's at the junction of the material and spiritual world. It's in the spiritual
No,
world.
that's Lord Shiva's abode is at the junction. Lord Shiva's abode, Kailash, is like that.
Oh,
But
okay.
Sadashiva is in the spiritual world.
So the Lord Shiva of our universe, you mean, that Kailash is at the junction. It's like something like that?
Yeah, well, Lord Shiva has his own abode, Kailash, which is outside this universe, which is between the material and spiritual world. And it's generally how it's shown.
Okay. Because we were
Yes.
talking about it yesterday. Thank you for clarifying. So I stand corrected. Sneha had a question yesterday and so I just needed clarification on that. So Sadashiv planet is in the spiritual world, but Kailash is in between.
Yes.
And Guru Maharaj, sometimes we read earlier that Srila Prabhupada says sometimes Lord Shiva comes under the mode of ignorance because he is the Guna avatar controlling the mode of ignorance. For example, when he was telling Sati, he was remembering Daksh because Sati was telling him that she wants to go. So Lord Shiva remembered Daksha's sharp words, and it affected him in a way, and then he smiled and he was like, no, don't go there. So how do we understand that?
How do we understand what? That he smiled?
That Lord Shiva, that he is a pure devotee, so he's on the transcendental platform, because a question was raised, something to that effect.
Yeah, I was like, Lord Shiva could really know that it's not healthy for her to go to see her dad right now because he had that ego, but she couldn't see that. So I was like, how does Lord Shiva understand it, and Sati didn't understand that?
Yes, well, again, that's because of the Sati's own affection for her family, right? That Sati's playing the role. She has the family connections. The wife, although she gets married to the husband and she becomes half the body of the husband, but still she keeps with her some family affection. Her parents, the people who brought her into the world and who raised her, the girl will have affection for these people. Girl gets married to a man. She may be married to a man for a year or something. Naturally, she lived with her mother and father for the first 20 years of her life or so, and she's going to have a lot of affection for her mother and father. It's not immediately she's married, immediately she gives everything to the husband and gives up all feeling for the family. There's going to be a lot of affection for the family, the mother and father, the people who raised her. You cannot just give up that affection overnight. And just because you get married and go and live with a man, it doesn't mean you forget everything about your mother and father. Because you lived with them for so many years and they brought you up and they trained you and they educated you, everything, they gave you everything, and maybe even the marriage is arranged by them. And so naturally you still have affection for them. And so similarly, Sati, she is showing natural affection for her mother and father. And the relatives, the people she grew up with, even though she'd gone to live with Lord Shiva and become the wife of Lord Shiva, but she cannot just forget everything about the family. It's not possible, is it?
Yes.
No.
I mean, all of you as ladies, you should also understand that. You naturally know that. You yourselves, you have dealings, you have so much affection, time, and take care to think of your family and your mother and father. You don't just think of your husband just because you're married. And so that's the situation in the heavenly planets also. It's no different. Even you become a demigod like Sati, she also has her family members, her sisters, her aunts, her mother. So we can't think, oh, she's a great soul. Oh, you know, Lord Shiva's self-control. They're so elevated. So even you're on that platform, you think of them. I'm Srila Prabhupada also. Srila Prabhupada had a family. You know, Srila Prabhupada, he took sannyas in old age. He took sannyas, he was maybe 60. And so there were some unpleasant dealings at home. And so he'd left the home. And eventually, not immediately, he'd gone out from the home. He was living in Vrindavan. And then he took sannyas. But even as a sannyasi, well, he didn't go home because he's a sannyasi. So he didn't go home to the wife or anything. But the son would come to see him. His son would come and see him. And Prabhupada would encourage the son. Just like Prabhupada had 3 sons. The youngest one was called Vrindavan. So the Vrindavan came to Prabhupada and he asked Prabhupada, he said, you know, I'm married now, I need help, I want to start a business, can you help me? And so Prabhupada said, yeah, you can distribute my books. And Prabhupada told his son, he said, you can distribute my books. So just like all of us who were disciples of Srila Prabhupada also encouraged us to distribute his books. When his own son came, Prabhupada told his son, he said, yeah, you can distribute my books, just like my disciples do. So he didn't give up the family relationship, but he, in a Krishna conscious manner. He was not neglectful. If there was any problem, you know, he tried, if he could help, he would help. After Prabhupada departed from the world, the family members claimed that all the property of the institution belonged to them. That all the books and all the temples and everything, they said it's all ours because it was our father's. And so the property all belongs to us. So we had to settle that dispute. But these kind of things happen. Even though he was a sannyasi and he'd established everything as a charitable institution, but you get problems. Family can be difficult sometimes. Can you understand?
Thank you, Hare Krishna. We have to keep our association with Lord Krishna. That's very important. Holding that center, you know.
Yes, yeah. Okay, Shilpa, well, how long do you have class for every day?
Till 8, Guru Maharaj, almost time up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if anyone else had any questions, or did anyone else have any comments or questions?
Guru Maharaj, I have one question. There are 3 types of people, right, who have faith. One is a Kanishka Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. If Guru Maharaj, you could just explain a bit for the three types of people.
Yes, okay. So the Kanishta Adhikari means the neophyte, or sometimes we say materialistic devotee, that he has a material conception. He's not able to recognize Krishna in the heart of the living entity, but he sees Krishna in the deity. So he has great respect for the deity, and he'll go to the temple and worship the Lord in the form of the deity. But he's not very respectful to people. He doesn't deal very nicely even with devotees. He will only simply see God in the temple. So that is kanista, material devotee, neophyte tendency. The Madhyama, we explained, he sees the Supreme Lord and he will worship the Lord, but at the same time, he will see also the devotees and he will associate with the devotees. And he will give mercy to the innocent people. But he will avoid those people who are blasphemers, who are offensive. He won't try to preach to them. He won't waste his time. He doesn't want to get in arguments. We just want to talk to people who are willing to hear. And then on the topmost level, you have the Uttama devotee. Now the Uttama devotee, he will see everyone as he thinks everyone's serving Krishna. He doesn't make any distinction between people. He thinks whatever people are doing, you know, they're serving Krishna in their different ways. And so the Uttama devotee, generally, he won't preach to anybody. He will just simply do his own spiritual practice. He will do his own chanting. He will be engaged in serving Krishna quietly, and he doesn't go out to preach. He thinks everyone's already serving Krishna in their way. Why should I disturb them? All right. But we can also classify the three levels of devotees in terms of one's faith and knowledge. Kanista has weak faith, and Madhyama is a little strong faith, but still not very strong. The Kanista, his faith is weak. So somebody says to him, oh, you know, meat eating, you have to eat meat. If you don't eat meat, you won't be healthy, you won't get protein. His faith is weak, and he thinks, oh, I better eat meat. I better not be a vegetarian. And somebody says, don't chant Hare Krishna, it's a waste of time. You know, he gets disturbed. He thinks, oh, his faith is not very strong, very weak faith, and he gets disturbed by others. The Madhyama devotee, his faith is strong, but it's not strong enough to defeat the arguments of others. But one who is Uttama, his faith is strong. He can convince others that they're wrong, and he will convince them about the actual philosophy and the actual position of Lord Krishna and the nature of devotional service. So the Uttama devotee has strong faith, and he also has strong, good knowledge, and he can defeat the arguments of these other people. So that's very nice. If you can come to that level, you can defeat whatever people are saying, whatever nonsense they're talking, and you can convince them what is the actual situation, what is the actual position. You understand? So in terms of faith and knowledge, there is these different levels. Kanista, the lower level, weak faith, no real knowledge. Madhyama, he has faith, but still not much knowledge. But Uttama has both faith and knowledge, and he can defeat all the arguments of the others. Have you got it?
Yes, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And there's another classification about Kanista and Madhyama and Uttama, and that's in terms of one's loving feeling for Lord Krishna, the affection and the actual feeling of devotion. So one may have faith and knowledge, but they may not have a lot of feeling or affection, attachment to Krishna. So that's also important. So somebody is Kanista, that they don't have much, they haven't developed much real rapport with Lord Krishna. But as the situation, as they go on, they will come to the Madhyama level and have a greater affection. And when they get the real love for Krishna, the real prema, then they become Uttama. So we can classify people in these, we can see these different levels in devotional service. You know, people may have faith and knowledge, but no real devotion. So it's important also to have devotion. All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Shilpa, so thank you very much for the opportunity to meet you and the devotees.
Thank you so much for joining us, Guru Maharaj. We're so happy you could join us today. And I hope you can join us again sometime
Today's
soon.
Ekadasi here.
Yes, here too in Panama also.
Okay.
So, yeah, wishing you
So,
happy Ekadashi, Guru Maharaj. Also in Taiwan, it's Ekadashi.
okay.
Mhm.
All right. So you take care there. And when you're coming back to Taiwan?
Right, I just booked for the 13th. Just made the booking. So next
Oh,
Thursday,
13?
flying.
Oh,
Yeah,
next
flying
Thursday.
next
Okay.
Thursday. Yeah, we just
Okay.
made the bookings.
Both of you?
All four of us.
All four of you?
Yeah.
Wow. Everyone back. Is the quarantine still there?
But the quarantine ends on the 13th October. And
Really?
so that's why, yeah, that's the reason we planned it that way, so that when we go there, then no quarantine and we can immediately get the treatment.
Oh, it's no more quarantine. Finished there.
No, yeah, on 13th, they are stopping the quarantine.
Is it the same in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong already stopped.
They already
So,
stopped, is it?
yeah, recently, I think about a week or 10 days, they've already stopped the quarantine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so nice. That's good.
So thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Could I introduce you, our reading group, Guru Maharaj?
Okay, yeah.
We have Sneha here, and she's very enthusiastic, always has a lot of input, a lot of comments, a lot of, yeah. And then we have Ratna, she's also reads with us every morning, also very enthusiastic. She's also learning the shlokas. Then we
They're
have
both from
Deepika.
Panama?
No, they are all from Taiwan.
Or from
Yeah.
Taiwan, no? Oh,
Taiwan, yeah. And from Panama, Radhe had joined in, and Nina and they both just left. They
okay.
both, and Veena had joined also. 3 had joined in from Panama, but I see they all 3 just left.
Okay.
Yeah, so Deepika always has a very technical questions, which sometimes I get confused of how to answer. So, yeah, that's why I was grateful today you could join and help us clarify some of the questions.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. It was so clear. Thank you so much. It's more clear today. Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Nice to meet you. Look forward to see you again.
Then we have
Okay, so
Payal. Guru Maharaj, you need to
who?
leave now, is it? Payal. Payal
No.
is here also. And
Hare
she also
Krishna.
joins us every morning.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
she's also learning all the artis. She sings now, because before we start, we sing. We started also singing the Samsara Dava, and then we sing
She's
the
from
Nishimha.
Taiwan also?
Also Taiwan. Also
Oh.
Taiwan. Yes. And we have Auntie
Okay.
Rashmi here. She's from Taiwan also.
Oh,
Hare
Auntie Rashmi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So
Nice.
she's
So many devotees in Taiwan. Huh? Wonderful.
yeah. We are all waiting for you to come back, Guru Maharaj, to Taiwan.
Yeah.
And we have Neha. Neha always she hears a lot, so she has a lot of other. She gives very good input also, and a lot of great ideas. Don't know if her phone, she's on mute now, so I don't know if it's convenient for her to speak. And then we have Chandra Didi. She's Donnie's cousin from Bombay, and she joins us every morning, 4:30 her time. 4:38. Yeah. That's her. And Donnie's also joined in today. He's
Oh.
also there, joined in. And yeah, the Panama devotees, they left. Sorry about that, Guru Maharaj.
No, okay, no problem. All
So
right.
we are,
So very
we are grateful
nice.
to you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Please
Thank you so
accept
much.
our
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I'm really,
Oh, that's
Guru Maharaj,
nice.
Hare Krishna. I'm really, really grateful to you for giving us Shilpa ji, because she's really guiding us through this boat of the material
Okay,
existence.
very nice.
She's really helping us a lot, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah.
She has induced love for Krishna in all of our hearts.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you so much, sir.
very, very true.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you for
all
giving us
credit
your
of
call.
Guru Maharaj. All Guru
Yeah,
Maharaj's
definitely.
mercy.
All credits to all glories to Guru Maharaj. So thank you
I
so
feel
much
like
for giving us.
I feel like she's bringing us to Garden of Flowers. Yeah, she's just bringing us along. She's just bringing us along all the time. Thank you so much to her. So much service and time for us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yes, really, it's very true. Yeah,
Guru
thank
Maharaj,
you.
we seek your blessing so that we can continue with the reading and we
Yes.
hope more people can join
Yeah.
us.
बोल दो, बोलना चालू करो.
So please pray for us.
Okay. Very nice.
Thank you.
May Krishna bless all of you.
Hare
Prabhu-
Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada says, he said, just simply by reading, you just simply keep reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and one day you will see Krishna in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, you know, Guru Maharaj, after I heard that, that's what inspired me. I said, no, then we must read Bhagavatam every day. Then we'll find Krishna. Thank you so
Okay.
much for reminding us that.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
And by your
Hare
blessings, we'll find Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, I have to go now.
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
We
you.
go.
Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining in today. Really grateful to you all. Have a great day. Happy Ekadashi once again.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.